Hey guys, Bald Eagle here, Fx4. So it's Easter weekend, and what better way to celebrate Easter than with 2 inches of snow? Thank you, Mother Nature, you're not on the same page as the rest of us. So with that, we're going to kick off our next series of Fishing 101 with our next reel. That being the open face, also known as the spinning reel. So let's get down into the benefits and features of this particular reel, and I'll even go over a little bit on how the rod is actually different for an open face or a spinning reel than it is for a bait cast or a casting reel. So stay tuned. Let's catch up on the features and details of a spinning reel.
Spinning reel. Now, one feature that's great about the spinning reel that necessarily it does not work out on the spin cast reel is it doesn't matter if you're right or left-handed. The actual handle, with just releasing the unscrewing this, you can actually make this particular reel either left or right-handed. You don't have to buy a particular model based on if you use your right or left hand. Now, some people may say, well, how do you know if it's left or right-handed? Typically with an underspin or an open face like this, you right-handed reels, the reel is actually on the left. You hold your rod with your right hand. Left-handed reels, the reel is on the right and you hold the rod with your left hand. So for me, being right-handed, I actually put the reel on the left and hold the rod with my right. Now, there are some anglers out there that do it opposite. It's just, really preference. But most anglers, and if you ever go to a pro shop or whatnot, the reel on the left does not dictate if it's a left-handed reel or not. That actually dictates that it is a right-handed reel because you're holding the rod with your right hand. Now, features of the spinning reel or the open face reel is, again, you have a fixed spool just like you do on the spin cast. Obviously this one is open. It is not enclosed like the spin cast. So with that feature, you can actually get away with a lot more line than what you have in there, and there's a lot less resistance within this than you do on the closed face. So when you actually open the bail within the spinning reel, there is zero resistance when that line is actually coming off. Where on the spin cast, it actually hits that rim and it causes resistance. So you can actually get away with a lot smaller line on a smaller open face reel than you could on a spin cast reel.
All right, to dig into a little bit more detail on why open faces or spinning reels are so much better to use with light line over your spin casting or bait casting is not only the reel itself with its minimal contact points with the line, but also the rod. So for instance, I've got here is a small spinning rod, and I've ran some yellow line through it in order to show you the context. That light line does not ever come into contact with the rod itself. It's only coming in contact with the eyelets, which is obviously a benefit when using that light line. So the only friction that line's going to come across are the eyelets, which are designed for that line to pass through, where the rod is not. The rod can have nicks or scratches or something like that that could actually come across and nick that smaller caliber line. So let's grab a casting rod and show you the differences in that. So now here we have a casting rod. This time I went with green to show you the line, but as the rod is pulled, look at what happens to that line. That line is now being stretched and pulled across that rod. So there's contact points on that rod, because in a casting rod, the eyelets are actually found above the rod and not below it, such as a spinning rod. Let's continue on with more features on the spinning reel.
Now, the other options that this offers is line capacity. You can actually, most reels come with a spool or two in order to determine the amount of line that you want to have and the diameter of line in the pound test. These can go anywhere as far down as 2 pound, 4 pound test line on up to, I know some guys that throw 15, 17 pound test on a larger spool reel. And they also have multiple sizes based on those reel sizes. So again, we've got a fixed spool. This particular reel has a drag system on the top. Some of them actually have them on the bottom, but that drag system works just like the spin cast system, where you can actually limit the amount of resistance when pulling that line out if you want it tighter or loose. The only downfall to a spinning reel is really the line twist. Depending on the bait that you use, the way that line is wrapped around this spool can cause some issues where you really get a lot of wind knots and stuff when casting out your line, and you can actually reel up some line in here. So on this particular reel, what I'm showing is I actually have a braid backing line and then fluorocarbon as a leader. I got about 50 yards of fluorocarbon that I tie onto a backing line of braid because I get a lot stronger line, and obviously, you know, fluorocarbon is a lot more expensive, so you don't have to put that much on there. So, but that is a spinning reel. Drag system up here. Now, one thing about a spinning reel is what they say to do is when you open your bail, do not use your reel to close that bail. Actually, physically close the bail with your hand, and then continue to reel in your bait. Do not let the actual reel itself close that bait. There's a bail spring in there that'll actually last longer if you're physically closing that bait off instead of allowing the reel to close it.
Thanks again, everybody, for watching. Please hit that subscribe button below. Share this video with your friends and family. If there's anything you'd like me to cover, or if I didn't cover on a specific reel or subject, please notate that in the comments below. You may follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Hopefully the weather gets a little warmer here. Until next time, here Fishy. See you on the water.